Print on demand is one of the biggest industries on Etsy, taking the process of shipping inventory and holding physical stock out of the equation. And this is an extremely valuable service for artists who specialize in a craft. I mean, think about it. You'll likely never be able to get your hands on an original Picasso or a Kincaid, but you can get these famous artists' work printed on canvases, cards, or other physical merchandise, which is ultimately why Etsy allows POD on their platform in the first place. With that in mind, YouTube is saturated with pie-in-the-sky videos that make it seem like anyone can become a passive income millionaire by listing a few POD shirts on Etsy. So today, I'm lifting the curtain on POD by sharing a few of the common lies and misconceptions about POD that many gurus are trying to illustrate. That way, you can build more realistic expectations for your growth and success. For anyone who may be new here, my name is Starla Moore, founder of the Handmade Alpha Academy for Etsy sellers and manager at erank.com, Etsy's most popular SEO tool. And over the last few years, POD has become an easy option for sellers who want to expand their offerings without the stress of printing and shipping products. Sites like Redbubble even take the customer service aspect out of the equation entirely by allowing sellers to upload their art, select the products to print on, and bam! Even my 12-year-old daughter runs a Redbubble shop for her art. However, the idea that print on demand is an easy way to make money is a bit delusional for those who assume that their Etsy shop is going to be a passive income. And that's because Etsy isn't passive. It takes a lot of time and hard work. But unfortunately, many sellers don't include all of the struggles when outlining their outrageous success stories, leading genuinely talented newbies to assume that their art just isn't good enough, which isn't always the case. So let's deep dive into a few of the common misconceptions that I see posted within the Printify community, as well as here on YouTube. That way, you can set more realistic expectations for your business and hopefully bypass some of the common mistakes that I see sellers making when starting their POD shops. When it comes to listing items on Etsy, there is no magic number. If it's not listed, it won't sell. Which is why I roll my eyes literally every single time that I hear YouTube gurus preaching about listing 100 new items a day, or needing to have a specific number of listings in your shop to be successful. As someone who works for Etsy's largest SEO integration and who studies Etsy's algorithm, I can confirm that there is absolutely no magic number when it comes to listings. And the assumption that more equals better is akin to saying that buying more lottery tickets will increase the odds that you'll win. Of course, adding as many listings into your shop increases the potential that one might stick eventually. But it also ensures that you're going to be racking up listing fees, hours, and hard work, all for designs that might not even sell. Instead of spending all of your time throwing spaghetti at the wall, I highly recommend focusing on quality over quantity, because it's not a listing counting algorithm who dictates whether or not you'll be successful on Etsy. It's the living, breathing humans who see your items and who make a conscious decision to retrieve their credit card if they want your item badly enough. When it comes to success on Etsy, quality wins over quantity, and there's no right number of listings or a set minimum number of listings that you need to be successful. When it comes to print on demand on Etsy, their creative policy defines items designed by a seller as a seller's original designs that are produced or printed by a third party or offered as a digital download. The key phrase here is designed by a seller. This means that sellers who grab as-is designs from platforms like Creative Fabrica and slap them on shirts or mugs are technically violating Etsy's creative standards. Etsy wants to ensure that sellers have a hand in creating their products. This means that you cannot buy a completed design, stick it on a shirt, and sell it. You can, however, use a site like Canva to combine multiple elements together to create an original and new design, because this results in an original design that no other sellers will likely be offering. This is one of the biggest contributors leading to POD sellers being suspended on Etsy, because Etsy's image recognition system is able to identify the exact same designs used across multiple shops. Remember, POD POD on Etsy is meant to allow artists to distribute their work more easily. If you have zero hand in the design, creation, or shipping of your item, Etsy really isn't intended for your business model. Instead, alternatives like your own website, TikTok Shop, or even Amazon may be more realistic options. IP law violations are the #1 reason POD sellers are permanently banned on Etsy. Regardless of what anyone says, you legally cannot sell anything on Etsy, or anywhere else for that matter, that contains copyright or trademark material. This includes references or imagery from TV shows, movies, video games, brands, celebrities, politicians, song lyrics, books, essentially anything that you did not invent within your own brain. And yes, this includes things like fan art. If any elements of the product can be recognized for a larger piece of IP, you can't sell it. And this isn't just an Etsy rule, it's the law. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, if IP violating items aren't allowed on Etsy, why do so many exist? As of right now, Etsy's policies state that IP infringing items cannot be sold. When it comes to reporting and removing these items, only the owner of the intellectual property in question can claim and request the removal of that intellectual property. Etsy provides a reporting portal for brands to do so, which is the legal extent of their obligation. In order for Etsy to apply a widespread initiative of removing infringing items, Etsy would need to open the floodgates of responsibility over all IP listed on the platform. This means that they don't just have the ability to remove all Disney items or just remove all Marvel items. Etsy would have to take on the responsibility of removing all IP violating items, making them liable for anything not removed under this legal responsibility. And since new intellectual property is created and trademarked every single day, there's absolutely no way that this could be effectively done. In short, Etsy can't pick and choose who to protect. In the realm of legal responsibility, Etsy can either take down all IP, which means an algorithm would have to learn what items are and are not applicable under that trademark. Trust me, not something that we want. Or Etsy can do what they are currently doing, which is what is legally required of them, to provide an accessible resource for IP owners to file reports. The best way to stay safe? Don't toe the line. If your design can be recognized for a piece of IP, it's not safe to use. Every week, I see horror stories from POD sellers who are going into the red with Etsy ads, just hoping that eventually their listings will take off. Look, burning cash to keep warm is never a good strategy, especially if you don't already have a solid proof of concept. This basically means having an item that is already tested and proven to work. Because I could show a big pile of doggy doo to 1 million people. It doesn't mean that anyone will want to buy it, even if I've gotten that doggy doo a ton of exposure by advertising it. Instead of stretching a thin ads budget across your entire shop, my advice is to always bet on your winning racehorses. If you're at a horse race trying to decide which horse to bet money on, you likely aren't going to pick the horse who's never won a race before. You're going to pick the horse with the best track record, the horse that's known for winning races. Your best sellers are your winning racehorses. They've already proven themselves by catching the attention of buyers, which means that we have a proof of concept. We know that these are items that customers already love. So, by putting a little money behind the items that are already doing well, we've taken those winners and we're showing them to more people who may be interested in buying them. If you've been following my channel for a while, you likely already know that I'm a huge fan of niching. But over the years, tons of sellers have asked me why niching is so important. Why is niching better than making a little bit of everything? And are you limiting yourself by choosing a single specific niche? While niching is important, most sellers are confused about what it actually means to choose a niche, or they confuse an industry with a niche. For example, shirts is not a niche. Shirts is an industry. A niche might be shirts for pet parents. Mugs is not a niche. It's an industry. A niche might be mugs for elementary school teachers. A niche points to a very specific type of product for a very specific person. And in a busy marketplace with millions of competitive sellers, having a defined niche can help you to stand out in more saturated industries, like mugs and shirts. In fact, niching is so important for POD businesses that next week, Printify is flying me all the way to Riga, Latvia as a headliner of this year's Amplified event, the world's first and only online event for print-on-demand business owners. Normally, this online event costs $5, but if you use the code AMPStarla at checkout, you can bypass the checkout system in order to get free access to the stream, Q&As, and opportunities to win tons of prizes from big names like Wix, Adobe, Placeit, and I'll even be giving away 3 eRank Expert plans valued at $360 each. To sign up with your 100% discount, you can head over to printify.com/amplified or click the link up here and in the description down below. Hopefully I see you guys there. Until next time, Pookie.